Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, we've got the Melbourne Storm hosting the Newcastle Knights. For the Storm, Kevin Proctor is in, Curtis Scott out with a broken leg. For the Newcastle Knights, Sione Mata'utia makes his return at the expense of Jake Mamo. Well, the Storm, that looks a bit of shadow of themselves against the Sharks on Monday night. I don't know what the problem was. It just seems like they're off their rhythm a little bit and they weren't quite executing. Smith and Cronk, their cohesion that's normally there, looked a little bit off. I don't know whether the change to the back line with Munster going to fullback again. Curtis Scott back into the centre is another impressive performance. I do feel for the bloke, broke his leg and played on for 10 minutes with what he thought was a cork instead. He's obviously a tough bastard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought the Storm were just out of it in attack. They just didn't have the cohesion. They just couldn't get the set plays going. In defence, conversely, I thought they were pretty good in defence. They held themselves pretty well. Sharks threw everything at them. Obviously, the Storm just unbelievable at the wrestle. There's no team better than them, and they get away with it. And kudos to them. It's great to watch them. But yeah, I think they're going to bounce back.
Yeah, they've certainly put some investment into that. Funnily enough, they looked on Monday night very similar to Cronulla the Monday night before. And both sides like the direction. Cronulla obviously bounced back from it, so I think Melbourne will be able to bounce back to an extent as well.
Yep.
The Knights, on the other hand, I really don't know how to address it. It's 40 minutes of football they seem to be able to get out and get in the arm wrestle, and it's not that it's consistently the first half or consistently the second half. They just put 40 minutes of football out. It's like that's a choice they're making almost.
As we discussed earlier, their forwards just aren't stepping up. They've got some big guys there that are just playing like young fellas. It's pretty disheartening to watch, especially if you're a Knights fan.
That's it, and there's guys there that don't really have the excuse, guys with experience. I mean, there's a couple of young, inexperienced guys, but guys like Jeremy Smith and that, they really need to step it up. And if there's not enough experience and leadership there, they've got a perfect guy waiting in the wings for mine in Kade Snowden. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, he's been a great player and has shown it over 5-10 years in the NRL. So yeah, even when he's not at his best, he's still better than a lot of the players that have been out there at the moment.
Certainly the efforts they're putting out anyway.
Dane Gagai, conversely, I think he's doing really well for the Knights. He's showing up, he's playing with some attacking flair, using his speed, playing some solid rugby. Mentioned it's just pretty tough with the amount of line breaks that he's got come through, having to do a lot of work.
That's it. The defensive line in front of him is putting him through a lot of work by letting guys through regularly, and we saw that in the second half against the Warriors. When he's got the ball in hand though, he looks dangerous, and even some of his support lines, when they played against the Raiders the week before, if you have a look at a lot of where Mullen went and where Mullen started to find space, Gagai was lurking about, and the guy is the build of him. They've just got to defend him, so teams are watching him in the background, and that's creating space for the guys in front.
Definitely. I see nothing else in Melbourne going 13 plus here. I think they're just going to be too good across the park down in Melbourne. Hopefully it's a nice cold dewy night and they'll definitely go 13 plus.
Oh, I don't think it'll be too cold with dewy night. I think they're playing at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but there might be some rain about, who knows. I think the Knights, their record in Melbourne, is pretty good. I think Mullen, the form that he's been playing in, last week was a bit of an off week for him. I think he'll pick up again. I think if he and Gagai can get connecting a little bit and have some lines run by the other outside backs, I think the Knights can stay in this one. I don't think they'll be at a point where they'll win the game, but I certainly think the Storm will get there 1-12.
Yep.
The second Saturday matchup sees the West Tigers host the Cronulla Sharks at 5:30pm Australian Eastern Time at Campbelltown Stadium. For the Tigers, Chris Lawrence comes in back from suspension. Jack Buchanan drops onto an extended bench. For the Sharks, Paul Gallen returns at the expense of Gerard Beale.
Yeah, so the Mighty Sharks look good on the weekend. Obviously, Valentine Holmes dropped a few on the wing. Hopefully, he's got the grippo out this week.
Yeah, I think they need to. He's obviously been having some personalised sessions with the fair old fumbles Benny Pomeroy by the last week's fall.
Yeah, emulated him perfectly. I think they were hard not to get more points on the board against Melbourne. There's probably about 4 or 5 tries that went begging there. I thought they were really dominant in attack. Having those 3 smaller guys in Barber, Bird and Holmes come in the middle and do a bit of work through the second half, I think that's exactly what we've been looking for.
It's exactly what we identified last week, and I don't know whether Flano watched the show or he's just got a bit of ESP where he's picked up on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly just took that pressure off Maloney, and Maloney looked a bit more relaxed too than when he got the ball in hand. So I think it's only going to be good for them. I don't think it's an 80-minute solution though. I think exactly as they executed on the weekend, they need to do it for windows of time, especially back ends of halves when other teams are getting tired.
Yeah, definitely. And the Robbie Farah, as we alluded to last week, what do you think of his performance?
Well, I think he just tried to jump straight back in there where he's been the last couple of years, and I don't think it necessarily helped. I think it really, in its own way, made Brooks and Moses more uncomfortable in their role. Tedesco looked like he wasn't quite injecting, didn't know when to inject as much. I mean, he still did show some moments of brilliance, but I mean, it wasn't enough. And I think that showed in the fact that they just didn't have enough attacking opportunities to get any points on the board.
Definitely. I see this game playing out, probably the Sharks best being too dominant. Gallen coming back this week. obviously has just spoken during the week that this year's Origin will be his last Origin. I'll see him playing for another year with the Sharks. He has said that if they're willing to let him play, he'll play another year.
I think the form he's been in prior to his injury, and just what he does, what he adds to that pack. Admittedly, they've got some young guys there that have done really well in his absence, the likes of Bakuya stepping in, etc. Yep. I just think that what he adds, though, you've got to have him around for another year, even if he becomes a bench forward for a year, because his versatility will allow that.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got the Sharks going 1-12. Tigers playing some pretty good rugby, but I just think the Sharks will be too dominant.
Yeah, I think the Sharks are actually going to take this one away from the Tigers a little bit. It is out there west in Campbelltown, but I just think the Tigers, their 4-pack last week, Aaron Woods was the only one that really stood up. Robbie Farah trying to take control, and I don't think his ego will let him take a back seat, which is really unfortunate, I think, for the young guys there, and it may end up forcing some of them out of the club. So I just believe that the Sharks are going to be way too good here. Gallen coming back with the metres up the middle will add some edge opportunities for them, and so I've got the Sharks 13+. The final Saturday matchup on Saturday night, 7:30pm Australian Eastern Time. We have the North Queensland Cowboys hosting the St George Illawarra Dragons at 1300 Smiles Stadium. In for the Cowboys in their first change in 6 months is Jarvid Bowen. Out is Kane Lynette with a shoulder complaint. For the St George Illawarra Dragons, we see Benji Marshall return from his hamstring injury, and Josh McCrone pushes to 18th man. The Cowboys, what can you say? They were pipped. They were unlucky, yes, but again, if you leave the game in the hands of one decision here or there to the referees, there's a chance they might make it wrong. They are only human. Absolutely cracking game though from the Cowboys. Big raps to Michael Morgan. He just seems to be getting better week on week on week.
Yep.
Absolutely phenomenal. Again, similar to what we're talking about with Corey H. He's a big-bodied guy. He's strong. He's quick. He's got all the attributes, but he just seems to be coming into his own at last and starting to find his own sort of role in the team alongside Jonathan Thurston rather than behind Jonathan Thurston, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Cowboys, it's hard to find a weak link from 1 through to 13. 1 through to 17, you've even got guys like Granville coming off the bench. They're just very strong across the board, and it's hard to find where you're going to be able to beat them. That's
exactly right. I mean, you've got guys who, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, like Asiata, that no one had heard of, that are just grinding workhorses doing the job for them. They do have I'm sure it's really been a stressful situation. First time in nearly 6 months they've had to change their starting lineup, or they're 17, if you will.
Unbelievable stat.
Poor old Kane Lynette's the unlucky candidate there. He's copped a bung shoulder, but we do get to see a famous surname grace the Cowboys jersey again. I mean, they did grace the jersey of the Nines, but Jarvid Bowen jumps in. He comes up from the Queensland Cup. He's been doing some great stuff down there. Not the biggest bodied of wingers, similar to the Bowen tradition, the family name. They're small guys. But he's been really strong, and I'm looking forward to seeing sort of the attacking impact that he'll add running on an edge. I assume they'll actually have him on Morgan's edge, and that he'll play, and that'll offset with Morgan's size, and it'll be really interesting to see how well he can inject himself at the top level. Yeah, I think he'll do well. He's been playing, like you said, some good football in the Queensland Cup, so it'll be good to see how he steps up with the NRL then. Yeah, definitely. While we're on people coming back in, the whisper is that Benji will be back. Yeah, meant to be back last week, but as almost stated, he's confirmed that he'll be back this week. I think that'll be a huge inclusion for him. Dragons obviously need something to step up, and I think this will get them to the next level, but will it be enough? Yeah, that's right. I think Josh McCrane's done a good job. I mean, you can't criticise him. They got 2 wins while he's been playing. Yeah. But I think just his and Widdop's styles don't really complement each other. It's the way Widdop and Benji now do. And then you've got Jugan running in from the back as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think they'll offer some points up here, because let's be honest, the Cowboys aren't always such a defensive outfit as we saw against the Broncos. They're prone to some lapses, but they're a good enough side that they'll outscore most. So I think the Cowboys are going to get this one done. I think they'll get it done pretty comfortably. I'm going to go them 13+, but I'd certainly be looking at the overs as well. Yeah, I think the Dragons will do well with Benji coming back, Dugan firing on all cylinders. I think that they'll offer a bit. So I see them getting a bit of a start at the front, and Cowboys coming in from the home. So I'll go Cowboys 1-12. All right, thanks guys for tuning in to our previews again. Really appreciate the views, and really appreciate it if you could like and share the post where possible. Comment below, let us know your feedback, any thoughts on what we're doing, how we can make it better, what changes we can make, what you'd like to see. Also, make sure to give us a subscribe on YouTube if you get the opportunity, and give us a follow on Snapchat, where we try to keep you up to date with our thoughts as we go through the round. And also check out our website, www.primacsports.com. There's plenty of content there across a number of sports as well. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck on the punt this weekend. Thanks guys.